Hi guys, we're going to talk now about the subtractive method, which is actually carving away your clay. Remember, the additive method would be our sculpture. The subtractive method is going to be the carving process. I'm going to show you two different things I want you to do related to the subtractive method. One thing is adding possible detail to your sculpture. You need to do this once it's in more of the leather hard stage, and you can do it while it's being added already or before you add it. So for example, this is my llama. He's going to sit here on the side of my pot, but as you can see, he has absolutely no detail in the face or anywhere else. So if I'm referencing that picture I'm using of my llama, I can see he has a lot of fur texture. He also has eyes and a nose and a mouth that I'm going to want to carve into to show detail. Let me show you what tools we're going to use to do that. These are all great tools for carving. You can remember this tool here is known as either the ribbon tool, or it's also sometimes referred to as a loop tool. They come in various sizes and shapes. If you want something that's more angular, you could find that back there. Even this tool is great for carving. Okay, so let's take a look. I'm going to go ahead and carve some detail into my sculpture using these tools. So you can see my carving process. Now my llama actually has some detail. Looks like it has some fur, has some detail on the face. Some of the other details on the face I will actually put on when I'm glazing him. So that's something to think about when you actually go and paint some of the features on. That could also help with the detail. One other thing that I want to show you that you can add to your slab or your sculpture is something called slip trailing. And it comes in a bottle like this, and you can find it over by the slip. And it'll create some texture or some detailed areas for you, some raised areas. So say with this llama's fur, I wanted to go ahead and create some areas of the fur that were like more raised. Or I just wanted to create some area of detail somehow with this liner. This is also a tool that can be used for some more precision. Okay? This needs to be used on clay that is plastic or leather hard. Do not try to put this on clay that is bone dry or clay that has already been bisqued. But this is a good tool if you're wanting to add some texture or some little details to your piece. Alright, so I'm finished with my additive pieces. You can see where I added the slip trailing to the cactus here to get those little bits of texture. But my very last step for this project is going to be to use the subtractive method on my slab itself. And this is going to create some areas for a glaze to run into when we go ahead and we glaze it. It's also just going to make your slab more interesting. Okay? So what you're going to do, is you're going to need to find some sort of a pattern. For example, this is a pattern that I've chosen for mine to unify your slab with your sculpture. So for example, llamas and cactus are found in the desert. Traditional Mexican patterns are what I'm going to use. It's going to unify my entire additive and subtractive process together. So for example, let's say you're doing a mushroom and mushrooms have spots on them. Maybe you want to do a polka dot pattern on your slab. Maybe you're doing some sort of a floral design on yours. Maybe you want to replicate that with some leaf pattern or something of that sort. Now for the pattern, you could potentially put that on the outside edge. It's not going to work for mine because I can't see any of my outside edge, but if you have something that kind of curls up and you want to put your pattern on the outside, you certainly may do that. Or you might put it on the inside like I'm going to show you here. When you go ahead and start with your pattern for your subtractive method, you can use two tools to do this. I would use either your potter's needle or simply a pencil. I prefer the pencil because it doesn't push down as hard into your clay. And anything you draw on your clay, if you get any graphite on your work, it's just going to burn off in the kiln. So right now I'm going to go ahead and draw that, and then I'm going to show you how to carve it. have your pattern drawn in for the subtractive method, you're going to use these tools similar to what you would have used on your sculpture to carve down your clay. Okay? So any of these ribbon tools would be perfect to use. And what you're going to do is you're simply going to remove inside your lines where you drew, so it's an indentation. So subtractive method means we're taking away, and it's going to create areas in your clay that recede in. Okay? You just need to be aware of the thickness of your slab. If you have a very thin slab, don't go too deep and carve a hole into your slab. That would be very bad. If you have a pretty thick slab, you can go a little bit deeper. And what this is going to do is it's going to provide a really nice area for the glaze to lay into. And there's a couple different ways you can do this. You can go ahead and carve all the insides out if you would like, or you can go ahead and just outline the areas, or a combination of both. So something to think about as you go ahead and you use the subtractive method on your slab. Just know that this has to be in the leather hard stage. Don't try to do this when your clay is plastic or bone dry. So if your clay is getting really hard and you're having a hard time carving away, that means your clay got too dried out and we need to soften it up. Okay, so just know that your clay is in a very fragile state, so don't put too much pressure on it with your hand, and make sure you're supporting it if you have areas that are a little bit raised by putting your hand behind it as you carve.